Welcome to Breaking Solo, how solopreneurs break barriers, build brands, and embrace the future of business.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Breaking Solo. I'm excited for my guest today, Rohanna Doylida. Rohanna, tell the audience who you are and what you do.
Absolutely, Donna. When people ask me who I am, I can give the simple answer, which is I am a brand strategist for second career women. But that doesn't really describe who I am and what I do. I help women connect, and men actually, but I usually tend to focus on women. I help them connect their past experience to their present goals through something I call the wisdom bridge. But who I am didn't start there. Before I ever worked in marketing or strategy, I was a wife, a daughter, a mother, and a woman who reinvented herself more times than I ever imagined that I would. My first love was acting, and I spent 10 years performing for thousands of people on the Chicago stages. I did everything: drama, comedy, musicals, the whole gambit. And I was just completely alive when I could connect with people through story. That's where I learned that emotion and honesty, those are the fastest ways to reach another human being. And I thought I would be doing it forever. But life handed me a plot twist. My youngest son was diagnosed with celiac disease right before his third birthday. And at that time, there was not, now everybody knows the words gluten-free and celiac disease. But at the time, there was nothing. And I couldn't even buy him a birthday cake.
Oh.
And I realized that if I couldn't, then there were other parents out there feeling just as hopeless and just as frustrated as I did. So I did something I had never planned to do. I left the stage and I started a gluten and dairy-free bakery.
My God.
I had no business plan, no experience, and no idea what I was doing. But I had love and I had grit and I learned fast because I had to. And I taught myself to bake and to decorate and to sell and labeling and packaging and marketing and advertising. I had to learn it all. And there was no social media yet. You had to have a website, but that was the extent of it. But what I found the most powerful part of all of it was connecting with the customers. These people were looking not just for baked goods, but for something that they thought they had lost, which was a place at the table, a sense of belonging there at the table. When the recession hit in 2008, I closed the bakery. So when I lost that bakery, I kind of lost my sense of direction. For the first time in my life, I was bouncing around not knowing what to do. I wrote a book on living with celiac disease. I ran a fitness center. I started working in retail. I did everything. And all the while that I was doing all of that, I was also taking care of my mom. She had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and she fought that battle for my entire adult life. And after 28 years, in 2017, we lost the battle and she died. And that was one of the darkest chapters of my life. It was like the ground completely went out from underneath me. And I needed something to help me find meaning again. I needed something steady and something healing. And I stumbled into teaching preschool. I went back to school and I started working in early childhood education. And those years changed me more than anything. I found myself in a preschool classroom surrounded by 4-year-olds who remind me every single day that growth is messy, learning takes patience, curiosity changes everything. And those kids also taught me more about resilience than any motivational book ever could. Because think about it, kids fall, they cry, and they get up. They don't make it mean anything about their worth. But as adults, and especially women, we do. We turn every pivot, every pause, every uncertain chapter into proof that we have somehow failed. I mean, that's the quiet part about reinvention that no one really talks about, the emotional weight that's involved in it. There's grief that comes with losing an old identity. There's doubt that whispers, you're behind. There's fear that maybe it's too late to start something new. There's shame, there's embarrassment. I mean, I've lived all that, and I've cried through it, and I've rebuilt through it. To be a little more vulnerable, I suppose. I thought, even though I wake up now, with passion and with purpose. It was not always like this. Across 30 years, I have worn so many hats, and from the outside, it looked like I was great at reinventing myself. But, from the inside, it didn't necessarily feel that way. And when I started my digital marketing business, I thought I had finally found my place. But I was riddled with imposter syndrome. And it all kind of came to a head this one night when I was doom scrolling on Facebook, sitting in bed. I was self-medicating with ice cream. I believe at that point there were actually 2 flavors of ice cream in that bowl. That's how bad things were. And the thoughts in my head were really loud. What was I thinking? Maybe I'm just too old to start again. I felt like my pivots weren't resilience. They were just proof that I'd used up all my chances. And then this picture came into my head. I have 3 kids. I have 2 boys and a girl, and they are so wonderful and loving and supportive. But I could just see them sitting there and just talking to each other and saying, what did mom think was going to happen? And that cut deeper than anything I was saying to myself in my head. And I realized in that moment that I wasn't just about to give up on a business. I was about to give up on the woman that I knew I could become. I remember I stopped just scrolling mindlessly, and I started paying attention. And I started realizing that I was looking at all these women who were a lot like me. They were smart, multi-talented, passionate women who were teaching and sharing what they knew. And it hit me. I have something unique to offer too. I invested in myself, finding an outstanding mentorship. And then I started to focus very specifically on second career women, the women like me. I started to focus on helping them find confidence with what they already know. I mean, one of my first clients, I think she was maybe my 3rd client, she said to me, I've learned more with you in 45 minutes than I have in 3 years doing this on my own. And it really kind of clicked.
That's validation.
Yeah, it was lovely. But, all of those pivots, they weren't detours. They were preparation. And that's the heart of the wisdom bridge. It's that we carry everything we've lived, loved, and survived across the bridge to what's next. We begin to see our past as proof instead of baggage. And everything changes. We speak differently. We stand differently. We finally trust ourselves again. I speak to women in their some 30s, but especially 40s, 50s, 60s, and they're standing in that in-between space. They're no longer who they were, but they're not sure yet of who they're becoming. And I help them see that the past isn't something to escape. It's the foundation for their next chapter. It's not a liability. It's their greatest source of credibility. Reinvention it's never about starting over. We cannot start from scratch, not at our age. Looking back, every chapter, the acting, the baking, the teaching, even the caregiving, it all felt disconnected at the time, but each one was preparing me to do exactly what I do now. So reinvention isn't about becoming someone new. It's about bringing all of yourself forward. When I work with women who say, I'm starting over, I tell them, no, you're not starting over. You are starting from experience. And that is the wisdom bridge. And that's what I do.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So now I know what inspired you to go into business on your own.
Hmm.
Tell me what's been the biggest challenge and have you overcome it?
Um, a lot of the biggest challenge is mindset. We um we all like to live in the comfortable, but comfortable is actually the enemy because if we stay comfortable, we never grow. So each new thing is so scary. I do a lot of podcasts, actually, but before I did my first one and my second one, oh my gosh, I was terrified. Every time I would send an email out to people, I would spend so much time second guessing myself. And what are they going to think? And do I know what I'm doing? And all of those imposter syndrome feelings, you know, we all deal with them. Um, we get better as we grow more confident in pushing them aside, in saying, no, I do know what I'm doing. I am confident in myself. I do have the experience and the credibility to handle what it is that I do and to help others. And as you begin to really let that sink in, that's when we grow, and that's when our business grows.
Absolutely. So tell me, how do you differentiate yourself between others that in your industry that do the same thing?
So if you just Google personal branding or even go on Facebook and type in personal branding, you will see a million people.
Exactly.
There are a million people who do that. And some of them will do, just the aesthetic part. They'll do your brand kit and your font and your colors and all that kind of stuff. Some of them will write social media content for you. Some of them handle bigger, bigger accounts, not just for individual people. There's a million of them. But what I know is how to reinvent myself. That's what I know on a soul deep level. That's what I've lived through again and again, sometimes from love, sometimes from necessity. That's my people. That's my gap in the market. That's my niche. It's these women and men too, but like I said, I primarily deal with women, talk to women, um, and they're reinventing themselves. Sometimes because they've been laid off, sometimes because they've reached a point where they can't take the the emptiness from doing the same thing over and over,
Yep.
and they need, especially as you get into those 40, 50, 60s, you need to find something that actually serves you. They throw around the word alignment a lot. It's one of my least favorite words, but but alignment to me is when you start to see that each thing that you have done has pointed you in the right direction, has given you gifts and skills that you can now use and that will make you the perfect person for who your clients need. And that's my niche, that's my gap in the market. That's my place, is helping those women to really find that credibility and cross their wisdom bridge and stand on their own 2 feet.
Excellent. So tell me, what industry trends do you think solopreneurs should be paying attention to right now?
I don't think you can discount AI. You simply can't anymore. Um, even things like ChatGPT. Um, ChatGPT, and there's a few others that I use as well. They've gotten pretty outstanding. Um, so even for people who are doing copywriting, writers, they need to embrace it as well, and they need to find a way to make it useful to them. Um, It increases productivity. It once you've trained ChatGPT, it's like having a business partner
Yeah,
that you
for
can
sure.
really bounce things off of. Not that you ever trust completely. You d I mean, it takes actually, to me, it takes not just as much work, but it does require still a lot of work because when you are putting something out there, it's representing you.
Right.
You have to make sure that every bit of it is what you want to share and will do what you want it to do. Every every post, every email, everything in marketing is done with intention. What do you want the person looking at it or reading it or seeing it? What do you want them to understand from it? What do you want them to feel from it? What do you want them to do after they've watched it or seen it? What's the next step you want them to follow? So anything you put out there, even with the help of AI, you have to make sure that it really represents you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And make certain that it's not making up facts sometimes.
Mhm. Absolutely double check facts and figures, um, and just wording. Sometimes wording is awkward. The other thing to watch out for are dashes. ChatGPT loves putting dashes in everything. Soon as people start seeing stuff with dashes in it, they're like, "Oh, this
So
was written by
I
AI."
I just learned this the day before yesterday that ChatGPT realizes that it when it was being programmed, they thought the dashes would help to like slow down the thought or, make it so now they've trained it to not use dashes.
Time. That's no, that's actually wonderful. The other thing to watch out for is, if you're doing a social media post, do not put an emoji before your title or your hook because that's 100% ChatGPT.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
Okay, tell me, what's one tool, app, or resource that you absolutely cannot live without in your business?
Oh, there's a couple of them, but, if you want to look like a professional, then you need a good camera. You need a good microphone. You need lighting, a lighting source. You need a stand so that you're not holding something as you're trying to film yourself, or film something else. Those are really important. You need to learn. I'm a huge fan of CapCut because when I'm putting things together, um, very often it's hard to if you're going to have a social media post and you or a reel and you are talking and you don't know what you want to say initially as you start out and sometimes you just have to keep talking in order to get it right, get it in a flow, say what you want to say the way you want to say it. You can think about it all you want, but you need to actually talk. And so you're going to then need to cut that and create an effective reel or video from that. And CapCut's terrific. So I am a huge CapCut fan.
Awesome. That's the first time CapCut has been mentioned on the podcast. So
Really?
thank Yes. I like having different things. That's cool. So tell me about your daily habits or routines that help you stay focused and productive.
I start each morning with intentions. It's real quick, but I just say, what am I grateful for? And what do I intend to get done today? Doesn't always happen, but I start with the intention. I finish the day with celebrating successes. And sometimes they're very small. Sometimes it's um, when you're going through something really difficult, sometimes it's even you know, getting up and getting dressed and going to work. Sometimes it's sending out something or doing something that was scary, but you did it. Um, Whatever it is, big or small, celebrate the successes because over time, when you look back at it, if you feel like you're not getting anywhere, it's by looking at those daily little successes that you realize how far you've come. That's been huge for me. I also make sure that I've got at least a half hour at some point in my busy day when I am going to sit down and I am going to respond to people and I'm going to talk to people. Sometimes it's through email and sometimes it's on social media, but I'm going to make sure that I don't leave anyone unanswered or unreplied to. So creating, and I like to do it if I can first thing in the morning, but it doesn't always work out. But
Yeah,
I always need to know that that half hour is going to be there somewhere. So
that's a good practice. So, what's one piece of advice you'd give someone that's just getting started on their solopreneur journey?
find a mentor, find someone who you trust, who's done it, and who can guide you. It will go so much faster with so much less anxiety, so much less stress. Somebody that will, part of a coach's job is to hold the, the space for you that you aren't ready for, to hold that belief in you, to hold the successful version of you until you can i- move into it. It's kind of like it's kind of like trying to drive somewhere you've never been before. And you can find maps and you can Google it and you can do all of that. But if you actually have a GPS, then you're just going to know how to go. You'll know when to turn left, when to turn right, and when to keep going. And that's what a mentor does. That makes everything so much easier and so much more effective.
Right. Okay. Do you have any exciting products or launches coming up that you want to share?
Yeah, I am actually going to be doing my first online event. It will be free. It's for the holidays. And it is about it's sort of the first steps of understanding the wisdom bridge so that as you're finishing this year and starting the new year, you start it standing proud in your own power. Stand in your credibility. And I will be offering that. The date isn't fixed, so please check out my Facebook page to find it. It's Rohanna Doylida, so it's really simple to find me. And I will be announcing it and leading up to it. And like I said, it's free. It's a
Awesome.
free event for everyone. Yeah.
So, where do you want people to connect with you and learn more about what you do?
The um Well, from Facebook, that's a great place to find me and to learn about me. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. I'm on Instagram, although honestly I don't spend a lot of time there. But and then if you download the free gift that I've offered, that will take you to my site where you can see a lot more about me. And and if you'd like to, learn more about working together.
Awesome. So, audience, all of those links will be in the show notes so that you can easily find Rohanna. Um, Rohanna, thank you so much for being a guest today. I so appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciated the opportunity.
It's been a pleasure, my dear.
For me as well.
All right, guys, if you have not left a review for the podcast, please do so as soon as possible. Thank you very much. And I just want to point out that I just launched Publish to Profit. It's an online course to help you go from idea to published and out there and marketing it in the world. So it's publishtoprofitcourse.com. Check it out. Thanks. Talk to you soon.